Hello everyone, and I'd like to welcome you all to today's Yamdu webinar. I'm Mick from Yamdu, and I'm going to be giving you a sense of what the system is, all of the key benefits that it provides, and then giving you a quick tour of the system as well. So I really appreciate all of you joining today, and looking forward to giving you a sense of how everything functions. And by the way, if there's any issues with sound, please let me know. I think everything is fine, but if not, just leave a little comment in the chat section, and we can take care of it. So I just want to give you a sense, first of all, of what Yamdu is and all of the key things that you might wish to know about it. The very first thing is that it is an online production office. We partner with ARI, and we've been able to build a system that covers all content types and all positions and departments in one system. It also covers every step and stage of production, so that whatever you're working on, whatever your workflow looks like, you can basically replicate that in Yamdu and find a lot of time saving and benefit when you do so. We also offer all key general and film specific tools. So again, under one roof, you have all of the key things you might require, and you'll see very shortly what those things are. And as well as that, you can see that we are fully responsive across all devices and browsers. Yamdu is not some system that is siloed on a desktop in a back office. It is designed to be used in the most convenient way, whether that may be a laptop or a desktop or whatever else the case may be, and across all browsers, of course, as well. So everything under one roof, all of the team on board, and let's take a closer look at some of the key things that we aim to do with our system. The first thing is that we want to help you eliminate redundant work and streamline your workflow. Redundant work is everything that takes away from the creative aspect of your productions. So if you can get rid of that, you can have more time to spend on things that have more value for the projects that you work on. So you can see here that we want to improve efficiency across the entire project. There's lots of small wins in various areas, and of course having everyone in one place makes it much easier to communicate and share information effectively. But there are also big time wins with some of the key elements that need to be created when you're working on a visual project. You can see that we want to simplify communication and collaboration, and that works from everything from task management all the way through to just general communication, and maybe discussing things, having a forum to discuss video files or anything else that might be of relevance to your production. And you can see here too that we want to ensure all information is up to date. Quite a simple thing and quite a basic thing, you would imagine, but based on the feedback we've taken from our users over the years, this is something that is actually quite difficult to get right and often leads to issues and problems that people would rather not have had to deal with. So in a quite short summation, what we want to do is provide all of these things in a quick, easy, and intuitive way in a system everyone can get to grips with quickly and that they can use without much effort. So how do we break down what Yamdu provides? We basically organize this under 3 different headings, and you can see here they are Centralized Workspace, the one place where everyone can work, one place where all key project information is available, a place where all of the key documentation and scheduling and planning detail that you need to create is available, and that leads on to number 2 here, the planning and scheduling clarity. Everyone is always working with the same information in Yamdu. Nobody is dealing with outdated detail, and the second something is changed or the second something needs to be updated, everyone immediately knows that this is new, it's fresh, it's changed, and this is where things stand right now. And finally here you can see that we offer a streamlined content pathway. And what that means is that whatever way you work on your visual projects, we aim to provide a way for you to do that right from development all the way through to post in a very convenient and effective way. And that's not just for one type of visual content. It's everything from student films, short films, commercials, features, any kind of visual project that you may work on. We want to make you welcome in Yamdu and able to do that in our platform. So looking a little bit closer at the 3 different elements I've just outlined, the first one is Centralized Workspace. And you can see that that means that all crew members, project information, and key tools are in one scalable system. And scalable is the most important thing in that sentence, because certain projects require that you have many people using many tools in depth. Other systems or other projects mean that you just need a few key things to get things done over a few days, for example. So you can scale Yamdu according to your needs. Files and documents are securely organized with, of course, full access right management. It wouldn't make much sense if it was a free-for-all and everyone could just jump in and see all of the detail about the project. So the access rights for each individual person ensure that people only work with the detail they need, and then they're not confused by additional information that is not actually relevant to the work that they are doing. Responsive across all devices, again, means that information is always available. Whether you're on your phone or your laptop or wherever you might be, you can always pull up Yamdu, you can see the information, you can discuss things, you can communicate, and you can create things in the exact same way across all platforms. And I think that's vitally important too, because you're not limited to some sort of tool that doesn't have that ability to kind of be agile and roll with the punches of production and give you what you need access to at any point in time. The task management is also an important thing from our perspective. It's one of the general management tools that we offer. It's not completely film specific, but it obviously links to all of the film specific tools we have. And the advantage of that, of course, is that, again, you have clear deadlines that everyone is aware of, and a very simplified and easy to use task management system that includes communication and collaboration. And finally, here you can see that we have reusable, automatically populated databases. This is perhaps one of the great long-term time savers, one of the amazing ways that Yamdu is designed to ensure that all of the key detail you add in each of your projects is fed into a database that you can reuse whenever you need to again. And that includes things like props and costumes, actors, freelancers, all of the key information that you add in your projects that in a lot of cases has to be manually added again on each subsequent project using older and more outdated forms of production management tools. Jumping to the next of our 3 different topics here before we jump directly into Yamdu itself and take a little tour of everything it offers, we see planning and scheduling clarity. And here you can see that, first of all, we provide an overview calendar that makes cross-project planning easy. The idea there is that at any moment in time, you can see where every single one of your projects currently stands, whether it's 1 or 2 or 3 or 20 or 50 projects, it doesn't matter. You have one view and all key detail is there. We also offer a resource planner where you can define anything as a resource and then book and follow those resource bookings over time. So you're always aware that, you know, there are certain cameras in use, there are certain light rigs available, there are people that are free or that are booked, all in, again, one very simplified view. The production calendar gives you quick and easy abilities to reuse templates, so you can basically reuse information and build a production schedule that is then available to you on any subsequent project with as many steps and stages as you need to manage in a Gantt chart view. You can see too that people only see information that is relevant. There is no confusion. And that's a very vital thing, especially when it comes to planning and scheduling. And finally, we have shooting scheduling, one of the cornerstones of any visual project production. And you can create that very easily in Yamdu in an intuitive and quick way with a strip board that is very agile and easy to use. And finally, here we come to Streamlined Content Pathway. So how this works is that you can replicate the workflow you currently have, you know, prior to using Yamdu, or you can create a better one using our framework. Our framework is designed so that basically you can plot a very clear line and a linear path all the way through development onto post. And we have all of the kind of cornerstones and the key things you would need to do that effectively. You can also see that all project types are supported, so commercial, feature, documentary, animation. It doesn't matter because they always follow a kind of a similar principle, and you'll see that when we jump a little further into the system. The content pathway is important because some people work with scripted content. Others are working on shot lists. Others have things that are not quite scripted or not quite shot listed. It's more, you know, a piece of content, a building block of the project that needs to be captured in visual form. And again, we have different ways for you to work with those pathways depending on the type of projects you're working on. Finally, the last couple of things here, you can see first of all that we have breakdown information shared with all key departments. So everyone that works in a special department on a film set, whether it's costume or makeup or production design, they will see the detail that's relevant to their department when it's created in the breakdown. So you'll see how that information feeds directly out, and then people can access the information they need directly in their own specialized areas. And finally, the ultimate thing that we want to do is to make sure that you save a huge amount of time and effort across particularly the breakdown, shooting scheduling, and call sheet creation. We want to turn days into hours and hours into minutes, and you'll see some of the huge time savings that we offer there when we take a closer look, which we'll actually do right now. So let's take a jump into Yamdu directly and have a look at the system and how it functions right away. So I hope now that all of you can see my Yamdu interface, and this is the very first thing you will see when you enter the system. First of all, you can see that you can have multiple projects running at once. So you can see everything that's currently everything that you're currently working on. You can see the tasks that you have that you are working on or that you've created for other people. You'll always be notified if certain deadlines approach or if anything needs to be kept an eye on. And you can see, what project these various things are in reference to. As well as that, at this overview level, you have a calendar where all of the key detail from your projects is collected and visually displayed. So I can see right away that on 2 different projects here that are running right now, we have different production stages and steps. I can see the meetings and events that I'm involved in. I can see the deadlines as well for the tasks that I'm involved in. So all of that is in one very simplified view. And I can also filter that information by project or by category or by user. So again, if I have a lot of projects, if there's a high project volume and I need to sift through that information to find something, I can do it very easily just by turning things on and off and zeroing in on the information that's actually relevant. If you have an existing calendar, you can also subscribe to that and take the detail from Yamdu out to those calendars if you need to. And you can PDF export this and pretty much everything else within the system. The idea in Yamdu is that you generate all of the key production documents you need, and they can be created at any time directly within the system itself. So also in this overview section here, you can see that we have this company database. This is one of the main advantages of using the system, especially across multiple projects. With this, you have the ability to collect all of the key information from your projects without actually doing anything. First of all, you can add the employees and staff that you work with, of course, just to ensure that the direct people in the company can manage the access rights that they have. And also you can see here too that all of the freelancers that you work with across your projects are again collected and reusable for future projects with all of the contact detail, with all of the relevant information that you might need. So you never have to re-enter that and spend a lot of wasted time reduplicating work that you've already done. As well as this database of freelancers and crew, you also have databases of actors, locations, costumes, and props. That's every single actor, location, and so on that you've even considered for various projects. They're all collected here. You can see them, you can add them to future projects. All of their key information is attached, and you can actually filter your database and search for people who might be the right fit for an upcoming project. You can search by age range. You can see, are there various criteria that are key that we need to be able to, factor in for this project. So an agile, dynamic database of information that can be reused whenever you need to do that. You also have, as well as that, a location database. So everything that you add, all of the different places you work at, if you are at any point in the future thinking that might be the right place to go back to for this upcoming project, all of that detail is there and all of the contact information, everything you would need. The same goes for your costumes and props. And as we mentioned right at the beginning, there is also a resource planning tool. So you can toggle between different views, and you can see here that we've provided a little framework. The key thing is you can turn anything into a resource. You can define absolutely anything that you need to track across multiple projects as a resource. And to give you an example, we have equipment here. You can subcategorize that into various different options. If we go into camera, for example, you can see that we illustrate this, of course, with some ARRI cameras given our partnership, and you can book any one of these across multiple projects. If we jump back to the overview, you can see that in the scheduler view, we can actually see when each thing is booked on what project over a substantial period of time or on an hourly basis. So we can see when various freelancers are working on their projects. We can also see, when certain cameras are in use or any other piece of equipment. So if, for example, there might be a clash or a conflict that arises, the system can actually automatically flag that, and it will tell you there's something here that needs to be resolved. So please, check in, see who did this, maybe discuss it internally, and try and figure out how this can be resolved so that this one camera can once again be used on the two projects. So finally, just before we jump into the system itself, I want to show you quite quickly that we have in our user settings some important tools. The first one is that you have the ability in Yamdu to work with 10 different languages at this stage. So if you're working with a multinational production with a multilingual crew, you have the ability right here, as you can see, to allow them to work in their native tongue while communicating in the language of the project. You can also see too that Yamdu allows you to communicate with the system and have the system communicate with you in the way you want. So whether that's everything via email or via push notification or just directly in the system itself, you can kind of dictate what way you prefer to use the system. And with our notification app, you can basically get all of that detail pushed to your phone and use that as a jumping off point into the browser if you want to explore things further. So that's everything at an overview level, giving you a sense of how Yamdu functions before you jump into a project, which I have just done right now. And here you can see that we have a project dashboard. This is for a feature movie project, but I'll show you some other workflows a little bit later. It's just the fact that this is the project that we're going to use for this. The actual type of project is not the most relevant thing. So you can see when I jump in here that there are even some prompts and suggestions that the system is adding based on my position and based on the type of project I'm working on. Maybe these are some of the key things that normally would need to be accomplished in this project. So again, you have this framework reminding you of the key elements that are required for you to push things forward. You can see here too that we have our tasks once again for this project alone, of course. We can mark objects that we need to keep a close eye on. And we can see a live feed of all of the information that is coming into this project in real time right here. So anything that's happening, any new detail, if you come back after a few days away and want to catch up, you can simply scroll through and see all of the different detail that's been coming into the project, and if you want to jump directly to each of those things. And one important thing about project setup, this is normally part of the project creation process, but I just want to show you that you can choose the tools that you wish to use in Yamdu. So as I mentioned at the beginning, you can scale according to what is required. If it's a documentary project, you can deactivate costumes, for example. If there are various things that just are not relevant for a given production that you're working on, then you can deactivate, scale things down. You'll see that the menu will get shorter and tighter, and you're just working with the actual tools that you will require. So I think that's an important function. You can also work with episodic features directly in Yamdu, with or without, depending on what makes sense. So again, if you are working on TV series, if you're working on something that isn't just one thing in itself, that's very easy to do too, and you can add information directly to one episode or to all episodes at once. And finally here too, you can see that any material you generate, any files that you create or documentation that you are required to put together, all of those things will have a PDF header where you can add your company logo, project and company details, contact information, so that everything you generate looks very professional and can be shared in a few seconds whenever something is required or needs to be sent out. As well as that, you also have watermarking, of course. So from a security perspective, Yamdu makes it very easy to make sure you can follow who created different files that might have been sent out, and how those pieces of information should be marked when they are shared with other people. So let's jump into the key tools that Yamdu provides. And we're going to start with some of the key general tools, the kind of building blocks, the foundation of any effective production. The first thing, of course, is the crew. And with three of Yamdu's 4 plans, you have unlimited users. So you can invite everyone into the system, and you can see here that everyone is organized by their position and department. You can customize these, of course, with user groups, but you can immediately see here that everyone is arranged very clearly. We all know who we're working with. We know our positions within the projects, and our positions also initially dictate the access rights that we have. So every single person working on the project has different access rights depending on their position. Higher level people can see lots of information. People in various departments will only see the detail that's relevant to them. And of course, we take special care with sensitive information about actors, for example, or extras, and also about file and document management. So it's designed to ensure people only see what they should see, and not any detail that's not relevant to them. And if you need to change that, you can do it very easily simply by clicking the little buttons here. You can see that we can hide information completely, or we can give read or edit access depending on the situation and what makes the most sense. And as well as that, all of the people in your database can be directly pulled into any project whenever you need to do that. So we have all crew on board. We have everything organized very clearly. We also have all files and documents in one place. And of course, that means that the crew can access the information that they need according to the access rights they have. It's designed to make it very easy so that they don't need to reach out to somebody else, to a middleman, to try and figure out how to get to something. They can see the information relevant to them pretty effectively and very quickly within Yamdu itself. So you can see here that we've organized things into folders and files. We call them rooms and objects, but you can see I can jump into a room and see all of the various objects within it. And here in development, I might find the pitch or the script or the treatment. I can see the access rights that people have right here. So I'm always aware of who can see this information. And if I jump into the script, for example, I can immediately take a look. I can view it. I can comment directly within Yamdu, so you see the collaborative aspect right away. I can toggle between different versions because we can see all of the previous versions of the script right here. And you can do that for every single file that you work with in Yamdu. As well as that, you can add Word files, Excel sheets, all of the other things you might need. You can link to information outside the system if you're not hosting it directly on Yamdu. And you can also comment directly as well. So you can see here too that we have this communication function built in. And that goes, of course, not just for Word files and Excel sheets, but also things like visual content. You can directly view visual content in Yamdu itself, and we can jump in and see that you have right here the ability to play back video, first of all, but also to comment on that video and timestamp that comment, those comments. So you can jump to a specific point in the video, some suggestions, you can tag people directly. So again, all of that review function, that ability to see things directly is built into Yamdu itself. It's right there for you to use right from the beginning with all of the visual content that you work on. You can also download files and share information via email as well. So you can very easily directly send detail out. You can create, for example, previews. You can password protect the information if you're sharing with a client, for example, all very easily directly within the system. So we have our crew, we have all files and documents very neatly arranged. We also have full task management. So with any task that we create, we can very easily describe what needs to be done, set a deadline, assign people to that task, and the task itself becomes its own communication hub. This doesn't then become a conversation that's taking place across 70 emails. It's basically taking place in Yamdu directly with communication, with the ability to tag each other, the ability to add images and files, create subtasks, and ultimately to mark the task as completed when it's actually been when everything has actually been done. As well as this, you can see that all of the deadlines that we work with appear directly in the project calendar. So it's shared information. I see the detail that's relevant to me just as the other people see what's relevant to them. And I can keep track very clearly of the fact that I have an upcoming task that needs to be completed by tomorrow, and I can see how they progress over the next few weeks. So again, we've moved from the overview down to the specific project view where you can see everything for this project in one place. So you see here that we have this blue bar, and that is the production schedule information. It's telling us that right now we're working on the first draft of the script. That detail is being added in the production calendar. So if I'm the person who's plotting out how this project should move forward over time, I can add all of the steps and stages that I'm working on, and then these will be turned into a Gantt chart very, very simply and efficiently. So I can see here that this is how I plan my project to move forward. And unlike other systems or Excel, which a lot of people still use, you don't have to manually go in and change every little detail the second a shoot moves a couple of days one way or another. In Yamdu, you can actually edit that detail directly. So you can move things forwards and backwards. You can also make steps longer or shorter. You can add dependencies between steps. You can have multiple dependencies running. You can add as well resources directly to steps so that the booking itself is the step, and if that changes, the resource booking changes in the resource area, as we've seen earlier. You can even create tasks within steps too to make it very clear that certain things need to be accomplished while this step is ongoing. So you have all of that in one place. You can edit as things change. And as you've seen, all of that detail feeds directly into the calendar. So everyone knows exactly what stage of production we are at right now and how things are planned to move forward over time. And again, something that's often vitally important but difficult to do, you can export this schedule in this view very easily, whether it's zoomed in to just pieces of information and it's spread across quite a long, large file, or whether it's everything in one page view, for example. You can do that and see everything very efficiently with, of course, the PDF header. So that is something that a lot of people find a huge time saver in Yamdu. They also have the ability to create custom steps, either by using their own options or by using the options that we provide. So you can see here too that there are lots of steps to choose from. You can build up an advanced production schedule very easily, and whatever production schedule you create, you can actually reuse that on any subsequent project. That includes things like the production schedule, tasks, files and document structure. The idea is that you can use a structure that you work on in a project for any project that follows that point, so that you don't have to start from scratch each time and add all of the detail again. You can do it directly in Yamdu itself. So moving on to the actual content that you work on. You can see here that if you're working with scripted content, you have the ability right here to, first of all, import a screenplay. You can import from Final Draft, Celtex, Fountain, PDF. All of these are supported, and you simply import the screenplay directly right here, as you can see. So you have that ability directly right here. You can also see here too that when you do that, Yamdu can read the information, and all of that detail right here is shared, arranged by scene description. So we can jump into scene 1, for example, and see that all of the detail has been pulled directly in from the script import. All of that information is there, and then we can create a fully realized breakdown. We can add all of the key elements. We can also then directly send those things that we add out to the relevant departments. So you can see that I can manually add props and set dressings and costumes and so on. I can see all of the characters that have been pulled out of the script, and I can actually tag the screenplay directly. So I have a live breakdown here that I can create where I simply say, there's an old map, for example, that is a prop, and I'd like to tag all mentions of that in the screenplay. So immediately, anytime the old map appears, it is now added directly to my breakdown. And not only that, we can also edit the script directly right here as well. So you can actually play around with this if you want to. If anything needs to change, you can do that efficiently, and you can edit the script now directly within Yamdu itself, which is something we're very excited about. As well as that, you can see that I already tagged the old map. That is a prop that we need to have in this scene, and that obviously leads on to the shooting schedule and call sheet when we create them. But when I add that, when I select old map as something we need to keep track of, it goes to the relevant department. So if I go to production design here, we can see that every single element that we will need, all of our props and set dressings and so on, are listed right here. And if I jump into the old map, I can see that I have a lot of different options. I can simply add the map that we want to use, and that's it. We have the actual physical prop for the old map. Or I could start with a mood board, suggest various options, maybe use something from previous projects, give people a sense of the various options we have. We can suggest what we think might be good fits for this, and then we can choose what is actually the prop we wish to use. All of these, of course, feed out into the database along with any location suggestions, cast suggestions, and so on. Also, you can see here too that when you add any element, there will immediately be all of the day out of days for that element when you create a shooting schedule. So that's not something you need to do manually. You're not in the dark. You can immediately see right away that all of this detail will be shared right here the second it becomes available when we have a shooting schedule. As well as that, you can see that the same goes for locations and sets, the same goes for makeup and hair and costume, and the same goes for cast as well. So all of that key detail is right here. We can see all of it. We can add all of that information. And if we go to something like the cast, you can see that all of our characters were pulled directly out of the script. We now have the option to add and select actors for each of those different roles. So you can see right here that we have suggested various different options. And we can vote for who we think might be the best option. We can discuss that. We have this place to do that. And eventually we can select whichever actor we feel is the right person for the character James. So when we do that, everyone immediately knows that Jack Jameson is going to be the character playing James. If we want to see more about that actor, we can jump directly in and see that, for example, he has worked with us previously. We can see the images and files, for example, here of that actor, what he looks like. We can see the appearances and skills. So we can see directly right here, what age range he can play, other criteria that may be important. We can see the sizes as well. So the costume team immediately has a sense of what this actor looks like and what information they can work with already. And you can see all of the scenes and all of the detail about this actor right here as well, very clearly, as you can see with considerable ease. So that is the idea with this breakdown, that all of the detail can be added, can be pulled out of the script. It is sent to the relevant department. All of that information then is shared efficiently, and it just makes it very easy to do that. So I think that's an important element, and I think that it makes it much easier to have a breakdown that is shared very effectively across the entire production. So, and by the way, I just had a quick look. I see that there's certain questions coming in, and just in case you're wondering, I'll be happy to answer some of those at the end of this. And if I don't get to everything, I'll also give you the detail about how you can contact me directly as well. So I'm glad you're all very interested and you're having some thoughts on what the system provides. I'm looking forward to jumping into that as we get closer to the end of the presentation, which will not take much longer. So here you can see, okay, that was scripted content, working with scripted information. What about if you're working with, for example, non-scripted information? I'll just switch to a different project so that you can see that you can also work with a shot list. You can see right here that we have, arranged our shots. We've created a shot list as our starting point, and we can very easily then, when we want to, add breakdown information to the shots as opposed to the scenes, which I think is a very, very useful feature. So that makes it very easy to create a full breakdown on a shot-specific basis. You can see that you can add camera details as well create a full breakdown, and you can also use the shots to build an AV script, first of all, with audio and visual side by side. You can also storyboard very easily. So if a client on a commercial project, for example, comes to you and wants, a storyboard as soon as possible to get a sense of where things stand, you can create that very easily, and you can export that with your PDF header and with whatever other pieces of information you want displayed when you do that. And I think that's a very important aspect of the system. One other thing that I want to mention, as I said at the beginning, sometimes you have scripted content, sometimes you have non-scripted content, and it's quite clear. What about if you have something that's slightly different, whether it might be drone footage or interviews or behind the scenes footage or things that are running concurrently alongside the shoot? If you have those things, you can work with content items. These are basically the building blocks of your productions, the visual building blocks that you need to put together, especially for things like documentaries, but also lots of other things as well. So if you need to get some drone footage of a location, you've never been there, you just know that what you need to get and you'll figure it out when you go there, you can create a content item just to make it clear that this is something you're going to kind of work on and work with when you actually arrive there. So it's something that's not fully formed, but you have a very good outline for, and it's a very useful tool that a lot of our users have used across a number of different types of projects. So whether you're working with shots or content items or scripted content, whatever content you use becomes the basis of the shooting schedule. So you can see here that if I jump into my schedule right here, right when I want to start playing around with everything, you can see I have all of my scenes listed on the right-hand side. Now we're getting into the territory. We've already seen the breakdown where there's a huge time saving because all key detail is there and it's shared out immediately to the relevant departments. Here you can see that we have all of the scenes, and we can use these to put together a strip board. I simply drag and drop them into my shooting phase, and now I have a strip board that I can play around with. I can select the columns that I want to see displayed, just so I know exactly the key detail I need to factor in here. I can reorder the strips by set or by location or any other detail that might be relevant. And I can also, if I want to, automatically add day breaks as well, based on things like scene duration or the script pages, if we know that we generally get through a couple of pages of script per day. So you can see that we have a nice little strip board here to work with, and we can also just manually say that, this is a 3-day short film, and maybe it looks something like this. So I can simply just manually add 3 shooting days. Maybe I add a banner for a company move or a lunch break or something else that needs to be factored in, and you can see all of that right here. We can add start and end times. We can edit details. If an actor is not available, we can move their shooting day to another day and maybe substitute another scene that might be possible instead. So you have all of that detail right there in front of you to make it easier to figure out what's important, what works, play around, discuss things, share information with other people, edit detail if you need to, and add additional information should you need to as you're putting everything together for your project, as you can see. So let's say that this is the draft schedule. We're happy with this. We think it's quite good. First of all, we can save this, and we can always come back to it and do more work. So we have that right away to work with. If I go back to view mode, I can do a lot of different things. The first thing I want to point out is that we have an integration with Showbiz Budgeting. So you are able to directly take that information out to Showbiz to manage all of the budgetary information on your project. And it's right just by downloading the file that you can import directly to Showbiz. And if anyone needs any more information on Showbiz, you can look at their website or you can contact me directly. We're always happy to talk about how that integration works. As well as that, I've created this draft schedule here, and I can immediately see the PDF information, so I can see, what this schedule looks like with a number of different views. I can also see the, when the costumes are in use, when the actors are in use, all of that detail, and whether or not it makes sense. Is it logical? Are there gaps? Are there things that need to be resolved? I have that ability to then, factor everything in and maybe change things according to the detail that I see when I generate these files and when I take a closer look. So I think that's a very important aspect of the shooting schedule. You can do it quickly, efficiently. It shares all of that detail again to the calendar so people see these are the shooting days when we move into production. And of course, the other key thing, and you've seen how quickly we put this shooting schedule together, is that you can also use this as the basis for a call sheet that you create. So you can see right here that you have the option to add the title, date, and call time. Click next, and when you click shooting day, the system automatically populates all of the key detail in a call sheet for you. So it takes the information from the shooting schedule, from the breakdown, all of the department specific details, your PDF header, all of the call times. So we can see here, okay, we have our scenes, we have the various call times for the actors, we have the old map. We didn't add locations yet, which of course I would normally have done in advance. But if we, select Grand Central Station, the system shows us a map showing exactly where that is. It also tells us the weather at that location and the nearest hospital as well. So all of that information is added, and you can customize even further. You can add things like page breaks and text fields and anything else that you think is relevant or that you want included on your call sheet. So, let's say I want to have the crew list included on page 2, for example. I can add them in right here too. You can push and pull call times. You can choose between 5 different designs with a lot of different sub-elements as well if you want to customize exactly how things look, because we have clients all over the world and there is no one standard industry design for call sheets, as we've learned over the years as well. So you can customize things according to what's required, play around with this, and the great long-term benefit, just like with the production calendar, and just like with the general project template structure, is that you can reuse the exact structure of the call sheet on any subsequent shooting day on this project and also on any other project as well. So you can actually spend 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you have a lot of time, building up a shooting or a call sheet to the specific specifications that you like. Then you can save that, and then that can actually become the template for every subsequent call sheet that you create without you having to add any detail manually whatsoever. You basically can auto-populate all call sheets from this point forward because you've just basically created the structure that you want to use. So let's say that I've created that call sheet. It is the one that I need to share for this shooting day. All I have to do is simply select the recipients. Actors and agencies are automatically added to the list, but I can add all of my different departments or everyone, or I can simply add individual people or email addresses or mailing lists, and I can actually send this out directly through Yamdu itself. I can add a message to the body of the email if I want, and when I mark this as final and send it out to all recipients, you will see now that not only will each person receive an email with their call time, with the PDF call sheet, with a confirm button that they can tell you directly, yes, I've read the information and I will be there. So you can see that they have all of that detail. They have the call sheet, and they can also directly tell you if they have seen it, if they have confirmed, and you can track the sending report. So you can see right here whether the call sheet has been sent, received, viewed, whether it's pending, whether it's been rejected, or whether it's been confirmed. And you have a column right here that is all red, of course, in this case, because these are fake email addresses. But with real ones, you would see all of that detail, and you might have peace of mind then when this turns green that everyone has seen it, they're all ready, they'll be on set, everything is clear, let's go and get a good night's sleep before the real action happens tomorrow. If they don't receive it, you can resend the call sheet. You can also send it as well to additional recipients. So that's more or less the overview of everything Yamdu provides. There is one additional thing, and it's part of our partnership with ARI, and that's that you can directly integrate ARI's dailies viewer, ARI WebGate, into Yamdu's interface. So if you want that additional ability in post to work and see all of your dailies and review them, discuss things, vote, render, share, whatever might need to be done, that can be directly integrated into Yamdu. And you can actually trial WebGate in tandem with Yamdu, free of charge for 2 weeks as well when you sign up to the system to see exactly how that functions. And all of the WebGate structure would be directly pulled into your Yamdu account too, all of the details, however you organize things, so that that covers the entirety of production and adds, of course, the at this stage, over 100 years of insight and ability that Ari has brought to visual projects with this post-production system. So I really hope you've got a sense that Yamdu is there to give you all crew in one location, organized by access rights, file and document structure and clarity with information shared with the people who need to see it, full task management with all information clearly displayed in the calendar, shared with the people who are working on things, and then giving you the ability to track everything without missing out with prompts from the system. One calendar where you can see everything that's happening and that is relevant to you on the project, as well as, of course, the production schedule information, the shooting scheduling information, all of the breakdown details, all of the department-specific information. Again, if you're in production design, you see everything that's related to you. Same with costumes, makeup, and hair. And people can straddle different divides if they're working in, or wearing multiple hats, as it were, on any project. You have casting, of course, costume management, and you also have, of course, all of the key creative detail, the scenes, the script information, the shot list, the storyboard, the content items, all in one location under one roof. So just before jumping into the question and answer session, I just want to show you how we structure our plans in Yamdu. So it's very, very simple and straightforward. We have 4 different plans. You can see here how they are structured from Spark all the way up to Signature. Spark gives you 1 project and 5 users. So it's kind of an introductory plan that allows you to kind of work with a small team on 1 project to begin with. Rise gives you 3 projects and unlimited users, so you can add as many people as you need to your projects. You can see too that you have the ability to work with Star, which gives you 8 projects, and by 3 or 8 projects we mean 3 or 8 simultaneous projects. You can have 8 projects running at once, and if you finish one, you have a new project to work on immediately. You can always add more projects, you can freeze projects. You can also see that as you move to Rise, you get the company features like the databases. With Star, you also add things like episodic features and resource planning. And there's even Signature too, where you can tell us directly, as many clients do, that 8 projects is great, but it's not enough for us. We need 20 simultaneous projects or 50 or 100 or more. And as well as that, you can also customize the storage as you need to. So the key thing is you can start small, you can scale up. The system is designed to make it easy to upgrade. You can also pay monthly or annually. We are very, very confident that Yamdu, once you actually explore it, will save you a huge amount of time and effort across myriad different aspects of the production. So you can always test that out in advance and see for yourself all of the benefit in terms of time, energy, and of course financially that the system is built to provide. And as well as that, anyone that hasn't already is free to sign up to a free 2-week trial and just explore the system in their own time and see exactly how everything functions. So it's been a pleasure to show all of you around the system. I really enjoyed giving you a sense of how Yamdu works. So I can see already that there's a lot of questions. A lot of people have asked things. So I'll try and get through a few of them in the time that we have and see here if I can help with a few things. So first of all, I can see here that Gregory Bradley has asked if there are file limit or size limitations regarding uploads. That depends on the plan. Once again, there are different options when it comes to the actual plan that you work with. So you can decide for yourself which one you wish to use, and then basically you can decide how you want to manage your files. You can host them directly on Yamdu, or you can link directly to files elsewhere should you need to. The webinar will also be shared in recorded format, so everyone that attends and everyone that registered but couldn't attend will also appear or will receive a copy of this shortly after this webinar is finished. So you can again rewatch it again whenever you need to and see all of that detail and do a deep dive at a later point if you need to. In terms, I think that's important too in relation to another question about how you kind of let your team know how Yamdu functions. Our aim is that you don't have to actually do anything. We have information in every single tool. We make everything intuitive. There's a guide through everything. There's a direct line to the support team whenever we're required. And also we have weekly, or depending on the time of year, bi-weekly webinars where you can tell your team, jump on this for 45 minutes and you'll get a full sense of how everything is structured and how the system works. As well as that, I think we've already shown that call sheets can be created. As well as that, you can see that I'm just running through the questions here, so bear with me for a second. And let me just run through the questions. Yeah, you can upload edits for review. You can do that, as we've seen, using WebGate, or you can do that directly in Yamdu as well, to a more limited degree, with the ability to kind of play back video files and send them out if you need to. Yeah, we mentioned budgeting, so we went into that as well. And yeah, I think someone has asked if there is the ability to see whether a specific individual has a heavy task load, and the answer is yes, because higher level members of production, especially people that are planning and organizing the staff, can actually see the calendar from the point of view of a user. So you can always, if you're kind of wondering, is that person, do they have too much work, or is it possible that they may be free to do something else? Then you can actually just see directly, and you can see, okay, 2 weeks down the line, they are snowed under, so let's leave them alone for now. Or maybe there's a little opening there where they'd be the perfect person to do something, if that would be required. So yeah, question about training crew and production, whether or not there are training videos. The answer is yes, pretty much for everything in Yamdu. We're creating these all the time as well. So my colleagues are also directly creating files for new features and up-to-date information all the time. So there's visual content for you to reference to get an overview of anything new in the system, or just to get a general overview like today of everything as well. So yeah, there's a lot of questions right here. Yes, you can import a final draft script into Yamdu. Final draft, Celtex, Fountain, even a PDF file, if it's in the right format, can be directly imported into Yamdu right away. Just to confirm again, I've already mentioned the file size limitations. This webinar will be sent out to everyone after it ends as well. And someone asked if Yamdu is compatible with Movie Magic. Yes, you can import a Movie Magic schedule into the shooting schedule area. So if that's already existing, you can import that if you wish to. But there is no direct integration with Movie Magic budgeting. That is because we have this great integration with Showbiz instead. So yes, Movie Magic schedules can be imported, and budgetary files can be exported to Showbiz budgeting. And a very good question is, can this be used for TV production too? I think that's a very important element. Yamdu is for any project that you work on. It's not limited. It's not only for commercial. It's not only for long-form scripted content. Yamdu is designed for every conceivable type of visual project, because you can scale the system up or down. You can choose the workflow that you need. You can choose the tools that you need. So if you've got a very set way of working and you just need 5 of 7 things, then you can do that. You can create a structure. And as I mentioned with templates, you can create a project structure. Within that, you can have preset tasks. Within that, you can have a preset production schedule with hundreds of steps that you need to go through every time you work on a certain type of project. And yeah, you can basically structure the system according to what you need. Even files and documents can be preloaded on every project you create. So if there's template permits or template contracts, and you just want them to be right there from the beginning in a room for people to find, that's possible. It's there. All of that can be done very, very easily. And I think that's one of the key elements of the system. So another question was whether or not Screenwriter by Movie Magic could be imported. Really, it only depends on the format. Whatever you're actually using, all you need to be able to do is pull it in as an FDX file, or from Celtex, or even a PDF if possible, and then you can do that. And in Yamdu, there's a kind of a example version that you can import if you just want to see how that should be outlined. If anyone does have any questions about what kind of script you want to work with or what the format should be, just email me at mick@yamdu.com. And I'm just going to write my address right here so that all of you know that you can directly follow up with me. You'll also be getting a follow-up email from me anyway, but I just want to make sure that you know that you have the ability to contact me, ask additional questions, even book a follow-up if it will be helpful. That's no problem at all. So anyone that needs additional help or just some more material or whatever it may be, the Yamdu team is always here for you, and please don't be afraid to reach out. But as I said, you can jump right in right now, check everything out, get a sense of everything the system offers, and then basically you have the option to see if Yamdu is the right fit for you when you work on projects within the system. And if I haven't got to any questions or anything else here, what I'll do is run through and just make sure if I missed anything that I'll get in touch with you directly. But if I did and you want to get an answer and just ensure it, please feel free to reach out. But yeah, that's about it. And I just want to say to everyone who joined, especially our prize winners from the No Film School competition that I think finished up today, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining. I really hope that Yamdu will be very helpful for all of you. And as I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me at mick@yamdu.com or any of the other emails related to the site. We would be very, very happy to talk. So thank you and have a lovely day.